Hello everyone, this is Andrew Samurai, again from JCrete, and I'm here with Sebastian Daschner. And I met you, I think 3 years ago at JavaLand.
Yeah,
You were talking about a project of yours called, I think, JaxRS Validator.
JCrete Analyzer.
Analyzer,
Yeah, true.
exactly.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Yes, and this is a project related to Java EE,
Yes.
right? And so you have done plenty of the Java EE in your
Yeah,
career.
apparently I did. Yes, yes. Actually, this was a project that I could use for a client, since we used a lot of JaxRS and also a lot of Java EE. Yeah. And I got more and more involved in that. So I'm actually right now in the JaxRS expert group for Java EE 8, and also in the JCP.
Yeah, exactly. So that means you're a JCP member.
Yes, yes. So I'm a JCP member. We can talk about that more in a second. But yeah, I'm using Java EE and actually Java on the enterprise level a lot. So what I'm doing, I'm working as a freelancer for all kind of clients, small to mostly big companies, using Java on the enterprise side, helping them with consultant stuff and also with workshops, like how to do that, how to build enterprise applications in a modern way, and that's super interesting, and that's a topic that I love. And also, what's been a quite hot topic these days is the thing of CQRS.
So what is CQRS? Exactly?
Yeah, this is this funny buzzword nobody gets.
Yes.
If you type it into Google, then originally it says, "Did you mean cars?" And it means command query responsibility segregation, okay, which is also a funny buzzword. If you put all of these together, then it would be a German word, like, you know, long word.
Yeah, yeah, you guys love long words.
Yeah.
I know, I'm a witness of that.
And yeah, it's a way how to build enterprise applications in terms of data flow and information flow. So it basically means splitting your read side from your write side, not only on a command on a code level, but also how to then model your data, model your events that get into an event hub that you could use Apache Kafka or whatnot for it, plus how your database then models your current state of the application. And it applies a lot of things like event sourcing, event-driven applications, and so on and so forth. And that is a super interesting topic, and it's a really interesting way how to build enterprise applications.
Okay, and so what kind of tools do you use or libraries do you use in order to build an application using this? How would you call it? CQRS, is that a technique, methodology, or?
Yeah, more architecture methodology. Yeah, actually, it changes quite a lot. Yeah. So in terms of tools, in terms of technology, first of all, it's actually less a question of technology, more like really an architectural approach. What I'm using, I'm actually integrating that into Java EE, and CDI brings in events, and that actually matches quite well. And I'm mostly using Apache Kafka for that. There's a lot of interest in that technology right now, but it wouldn't actually matter that much. And then plus some database technology. In terms of tools, there's not that much tooling around. Actually, I was asked in the past whether there is something like a description. You mentioned JaxRS Analyzer at the beginning that used Swagger. So whether there's something like Swagger to describe event-driven applications and systems and how they interact and all that, you know, which event gets fired from here and then, but there isn't anything, at least not as a standard or de facto standard yet. But that's a good question, actually. That's a good way to pursue, maybe.
Right, because people would like to get into event source and CQRS.
Yes.
They have. It's great to read all this information and blog posts on how this thing can work and the behavior itself. But eventually, you have to bring it down to earth to something that you can actually implement.
Right, implement and then document and use with several teams maybe, and yeah, totally true. And then you need all these kind of things also.
Yeah.
Yes, fully agree. This is a very, very interesting topic in general. And yeah, besides that, what I'm also interested in was always Linux. So I'm also using Linux for my own. And what was really cool was that containers got more and more interest, especially with Docker containers in the last years. And then once you use Docker containers, you kind of naturally come to the idea that someone has to orchestrate all these things, and you get more and more into container orchestration. What now Docker Compose is doing, or more like Kubernetes, which I'm mostly using.
Okay. I'm a little bit confused because are we supposed to be calling Docker Moby now, or is just everybody else just says Docker is the name that we know these things and we just continue to use it?
In terms of that's not a standard and container technology?
No, it's just that the people behind Docker, I think they're renaming it to Moby, like Moby.
Did they?
Yeah. Oh, you
Really?
know?
I didn't hear about that.
See, I heard that, and it happened like I think a couple of months ago.
Okay.
And yet, I keep hearing lots and lots of people talking about containers and everything related to this topic, and they keep using Docker. I guess this
you see, I totally
this inertia of the community
to
to keep calling the technology by a certain name because everybody's used to that, even though the producers would like to use a different name.
Yes, and names are very interesting topic, by the way.
Like J2EE, right?
Exactly.
That's some people still refer Java E as J2EE, which is dead.
Yeah.
J2EE is dead. Java EE is a different thing.
Totally agree. We actually had that topic before, and especially with naming stuff, we talked about application servers and how people for some reason dislike that name, and we talked how in the Java EE world we should have renamed EJBs once we did EJB3, because it's a totally different thing. And today some people, if they hear EJBs, then they're like, oh my god, because they think of XML descriptors and these annotation, not annotations, but the one before that.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, okay, let's not.
Let's
leave the past, leave the book closed, and that's it.
Exactly, precisely.
Just think of EJBs as a new cool thing, and so are application servers. And
no.
Yeah, not everybody agrees. We should have renamed it. You see that, and that's the power of names. You're right with the names of Docker, and names do matter for some reason.
Yes.
I don't care about names, but yeah.
And you also mentioned, you mentioned some tools and some libraries and projects, and most of these projects, if not all, are open source, which means there are communities around it. And I know that you have done some work with communities around the world.
Yes. And this is actually a very important thing that you care about open source technology, you name it. So actually all the things I'm using right now are open source. Basically, so also if you look into the container technology or Kubernetes, I'm doing a lot of with Kubernetes also for my clients. There are a lot of interested in Kubernetes and OpenShift, by the way, in these technologies. And yeah, I'm involved in a JCP, so I'm an expert group member of JCrete and JCP, with also means open source first of all and communities, and yeah, open source things are just a thing you should really take care of. And yeah, about communities. So what I'm doing, besides all this conference kind of thing, that I'm speaking on quite a few conferences throughout the world, I try to speak on some user groups events as well, and especially with Java community manager Steve Jin. We've done a few tours by motorbike.
Yeah.
In Germany and in Japan twice, last year and this year, to speak on a dozen of Java user group each time and travel around the country by motorbike, which sounds like fun, but it's actually a really reasonable way to travel, because the density in those countries is quite high and you can reach the cities quite well with motorbike. And then talk about technology, I'm mostly talking about Java EE and JCrete and JCrete actually, and yeah, just spread some engagement in these.
Well, and because here we are at JCrete, there's also a couple of events that can be considered as spin-offs of JCrete. Yesterday, some of the time I was talking with Heinz Kabutz about the SpeakerConf, which is the event that happens after JFocus. But this year we had the first edition of the other one, which is
J Onsen.
Right?
Which also emerged from the Japan tour. So an onsen, to those who don't know the Japanese term, is a Japanese hot spring. So it's basically a place, a public bath where you meet and then you wash yourself with a lot of stuff, and you go basically into hot water, or hot, normally natural spring water, and you enjoy just the time and relax. So that's the idea with that. And we visited such an onsen last year. For me, it was the first time, And then we thought about JCrete, and we thought that there should be an unconference in Japan, because there wasn't a Java unconference in Japan at all. And then we said, why not do it at an onsen, right? And then naturally that name came up, and yeah, and was also took part in that. And
on the first edition of the J Onsen, yes, I was very fortunate and I'm very happy to be there.
You enjoyed it?
Yes, a lot.
Very glad to hear that. Yeah, we had really great 2.5 days out at the so-called Itsu Peninsula. It's a beautiful place. We did a beautiful hike to a mountain or to a hill, whatever, and that. Yeah, it was also great Java content. So we had great philosophic sessions about Java technology, and also about the topic of language and the Java community in Japan, especially.
Yes, because we got Japanese attendees at the conference. It's not just people coming from all different corners of the world. The idea was to also have people that are kind of local, let's guess local to the country, because they came also from different regions of the country, and to give us, so that we can share insights of how we see things from the outside, from Japan, and how they see things from the inside.
Yes, and this was precisely our idea. You name it, that especially for Japan, this language barrier is quite high, which you wouldn't think of Japan if you haven't been there yet, that it's quite an issue, it's quite a barrier to speak English. So most of the people don't speak or understand even English that well yet, maybe, and especially in technology, this is an issue. So right now, it's mostly the case that Java developers in Japan consume a lot of English content, and a few guys, and then translate it into Japanese, and then it's consumed and it's worked upon in the country, but not much is contributed back. So what we would really love to see, and this is the reason, first of all, why we started these tours, and then why we started the conference, to have more mutual contribution to Japan and also back. So basically getting more international, the whole thing.
Okay.
So we did the conference with roughly, you said it, 50% of attendees from Japan and international speakers, to, of course, speak then in English about all kind of technology topics, and to encourage people to be more international, to contribute in English, to contribute more globally to the whole Java community, not just Japan. And then we think everybody would kind of benefit from that, because there's a lot of Java knowledge and there's a lot of Java usage in Japan. This was probably also your impression, right?
Yes, definitely, and I would love to be still in contact with these Japanese developers that we met.
Yes.
So that we continue to, everybody will help. We will help them, and they will help us, and they will help everybody to just continue spreading the knowledge. Yes, it's completely synergy going on. And there's one more thing, and this is something that we're planning to do later this year. There's another tour coming up, and the name of the tour is called the Road to Basel 1. And the idea is to visit the south of Germany, Switzerland, and northern Italy. A month, and I think it's 1 month before this conference called Basel 1 that happens in Basel in October 19. And we will be touring by train, or less. You want to do it by bicycle? I heard there are some really nice, the Autobahn is nice in Germany, but some really nice highways in mountain roads in Switzerland. Yeah,
that's true.
And so we will reach out to 9 Java user groups in the span of 2 weeks, letting them know about the stuff that you do. The stuff we're going to be joined by Kurt Pepperdoin, so he's mostly going to talk on performance tuning and Java internals on G1 and so many other interesting things. And I'll be there speaking about topics such as JavaFX, Gradle, testing on some other stuff that we hope will be of interest and usefulness for audiences on each one of these stops.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Maybe I can then in the future tell them to go by motorbike as well and to encourage.
Yeah, I'll be open to that. Yes. All right. Well, thank you very much, Sebastian.
Yeah, thank you much as well for the interview.
All right.
See you.
See ya.